We got a 2007 Trailblazer here. We're doing some front brake pads and rotors. Got ourselves a 13 millimeter for the caliper bolts. There was a 21 millimeter to get the lug nuts off. This guy is super rusty. Still life on the pads, but everything's just rusted up. My sockets are sticking to everything. I had to torch 2 bolts off the other side. Kind of went back and forth on this one to loosen it up. Let's try the top one now. But yours is probably not going to be this rusty. So this job is going to take a little bit longer. And I'm just trying to get all the way on this bolt. There we go. There's so much rust. Once you crack them free, they should come out by hand. I had to spend a lot of extra time cleaning the caliper mounting bracket. You can see the calipers are new, nice and shiny black. They look newer at least. It's like this thing sat in a field or something. So I had to spend a lot of time cleaning up the caliper mounting bracket. So we got those 2 off. Now we're not worried about hurting the rotor or the brake pads. They're getting replaced. We're going to compress this caliper. You can take your bleeder screw out if you want to. Might make it easier. That caliper does not want to press back in for some reason. That's okay, we'll worry about that in a little bit. Screwdriver popped out of there. We'll worry about pressing that caliper. Maybe that it looks new, but it says remanufactured right on it. So it's a bit stiff. Might have a restricted brake hose or something. We'll open up that bleeder and see what we can do. These pads are a lot better than the other side. I can actually get them out with my hands. I don't need to pry them out. So that's awesome. Now the other side, I had to torch these 18 millimeters right here. These ones look a lot cleaner on this side, so hopefully I saved myself some time and they break free. Now the other side, I was able to press the caliper all the way back using a screwdriver. This one, no cigar. Went back a little bit and stopped. Oh, see, they're in there real good. Should be using a 1/2-inch ratchet. We'll see what we can do here. I've got a couple of 1/2-inch drive 18 millimeters. That air compressor just kicked on. But this is a 6-sided, very tight 18 millimeter, and that's what I need because these heads are rusted out. They've been banged on before. Somebody's beat on them in the past. They're slightly rounded. So I want to get the tightest socket I possibly can on it. Oh my God. No, this is not happening. So like you can use like a propane torch or something like that. I got oxyacetylene. If you don't want to see the torching, skip forward a little bit. was enough heat to crack this puppy free. Yeah, there we go. That was enough. I was worried I was going to burn that boot. I was thinking about taking out the slide in the boot. Ooh, this slide's frozen in. That's not good. We're going to have to extract that. All right, get our socket back. All right, fits right over this one. Now we're going to put some heat on. I'm just going to go ahead and go straight for the heat. A little bit of heat goes a long ways to get these bolts out. Get them a little toasted. Be careful how I hold on to this. I gotta make sure the socket stays square because these will round off on me. There she goes. And for these sliders that get froze up, make sure yours aren't. Both of these are froze up. The other side, they weren't froze up. A little stiff, but these are froze up. What I'm gonna do is heat this area on my bench vise, and that'll help them come out. You grab them with vise grips on this end, heat them on this end, keep turning back and forth till they free up. Wire wheel the sliders because there's gonna be rust in there. Clean out the inside with my little Dremel tool and re-grease them with high temperature silicone-based brake grease. I like to use the Sil Glide. Had to get my socket back. Had to spin it all the way back in to get my socket back. I'm not going to show cleaning up the hardware. Pretty much just broke it down for you. Ooh. Toasty. Now the other one. All right, and we're gonna clean up this whole bracket. There's a ton of rust. It's hot. The pads are gonna sit on the outside of these little spring clips. Those keep the pads out when you're not on the brakes. The pads also sit on the inside of a little tab here. But I bought premium pads, comes with new hardware. Make sure your hardware is clean. If you're reusing them, clean it up. Now I gotta extract these two bolts. These are supposed to be sliding. So I gotta extract those. And then I'm gonna clean up where the hardware sits in the ears of this mounting bracket. All right, I've got this bad boy all cleaned up and the pads set in. Sliders greased up. This could use some new boots, but we don't have any right now. It's brand new shiny hardware. And just set the pads right in there because they'll stay in there between the spring and the hook. They'll stay in. All right, so we're just gonna pound this rotor off. Oh, it looks like this rotor is just ready to fall right off. Cool. I didn't expect that. I beat the other side. I don't know why that side was so much more rusty. Clean up your hub if it's all rusty. We gotta grab our new rotor, spray it down with some brake cleaner. Get that shipping oil off of it. Out of there. All right. Yours might have came with some set screws. This one didn't. Brake's been done before. Just gonna line her up there. Oh, I grabbed the one for the rear. I'm so stupid. It's late at night. I already grabbed my front rotor. Where'd I put it? front rotor on there. Whew. It's like, now we're ready to grab our mounting bracket. I cleaned up the mounting bracket bolts on my wire wheel. Got them nice and shiny. Get these bolts started in there. Good, we got one started. We got to flush out the rotor so it slides in. Find its home. Beautiful. And they're going all the way in by hand because I got them nice and clean this time. We'll torque them down as hard as we can with this 1/2-inch ratchet. Nice and tight. Now that's all put back together. Now we got to worry about that caliper. So I'll get that all set up. All right, I got my caliper turned back in. I just used this little $5 tool here. Little caliper compressor tool. They went right in fine. I must not have had a right angle on that screwdriver or something to press it all the way in. But I just used some big jaws that I have. Very carefully, not to hurt the pistons. Just squeezed them. They went right back in like a new caliper should. So one of them went in, which pressed the other one out. Don't let that guy come shooting out past its seal. Got one flush, put the tool on it, and I put the locks on the other one. To compress the piston, you use a C-clamp or anything. Just be careful. I don't think these are steel pistons. I think they're that composite, so you can crack them if you're not being careful. All right, so get over here, caliper. There we go. Cleaning these calipers up. Any dirt or rust on them. Clean them up a little bit. All right, now you got to press back on these sliders. Get that lined up so the flat spot's in the flat spot. I got to turn this one, press back. Turn it the other way a little. Press back. Pop it into place. We got our 13mm bolts. So we're about done here. You might have to wiggle it a little bit or straighten out your rotor a little bit to get them to start in. There we go. Straightening the rotor worked. We're going to tighten these up good. And then we're ready to crack our brake bleeder free. Get some fresh fluid in the system, bleed the brakes. Throw the tire back on, call it a day. There we go, some fresh pads installed down there. And if you got any grease on your rotor or pads, spray them off. Make sure you pump your brake pedals before you take off. Prime that caliper so that the pads squeeze up against the rotor. You don't have an air gap there, or else you won't have brakes when you take off. You gotta pump it up till your pedal gets stiff.